So here's another video of mine. Thought I'd make this one as it's well overdue now. I made part of this video long ago and I'm sort of finishing it off now. So yeah, so this was one of the first revisions I did on the Golf. I suppose when you build stuff, you only find out later whether the stuff you've used is good, bad, or whatever. And one of the things that sort of let me down was my suspension. I bought some cheap coilies or coilovers, whatever you guys call them, and from eBay. I think they're only like 150, 180 quid, something like that. Put them on the car, and after 900 miles I had problems. So I hardly even used them. They were that rubbish. So yeah, and then the fronts were making a whole clanging noise when you turn the steering wheel, and it just wasn't fit for purpose, really. It wasn't fit for the job. And I think on a stock car they could probably work if you're just gonna slam your car and that's all you care about. But for me it's more about performance, ride quality, longevity, everything. There must be good suspension. It should last long and look good for a short while. I mean, now you can't have suspension all rusted up after 2 months, you know what I mean? So anyway, so yeah, I settled for a OEM replacement, which was the Bilstein B4, which is actually an OEM replacement, but the version I went for was the sport version, because there's two versions. There's the stock version and the sport version. So I went with the sport version, and I got some tein lowering springs with that 40mm drop. And yeah, I replaced all the bump stops and all that, to go with it. Just freshened up the whole suspension. That's the same time I did the control arms, poly push the control arms as well. So yeah, it's a good sort of indicator, for suspension. If someone's looking to change the suspension, coilovers might not actually be the best option, especially the cheap ones, because I did have expensive BC racing ones that I decided not to use because they were a bit too aggressive. I thought, as a daily driver, I'm not going to be slamming the car right down and all that. So I thought, a normal mk4 strut, stiff suspension or sport suspension with a decent lowering spring would do the job, and it did. So yeah, watch this video and see what you think. Hope you guys enjoy it. And yeah, I'll leave a review probably tomorrow, which will be Sunday. So I do a review take the car out on the road and see how it feels. So yeah, thanks for watching. These are Bilstein B4s. Now apparently this is the sportier version, because I believe there's an OEM version and a sporty version. So I've gone with the sporty version. These are the part numbers if you're interested in actually buying these for your car. So I just thought I'd get new shocks. So that's obviously the front one and the rear one. And then on the springs I've gone with some tein S-Tex. I think S-Tex, if that's what they're called. And obviously these are 40mm drop. What interested me on these is when I was looking at my BC Racing coilovers, these actually have a sort of bump stop, or I don't know, some sort of rubber mechanism on here. So apparently, if you load your car up with people, these springs bottom out or whatever, and that's supposed to help reduce the noise or whatever noise it makes if the car's running a bit heavy. So yeah, so I'm gonna go with those, see how those go. Then obviously I thought I'd replace these. I mean, I'm currently with my coilovers, I've got some anti-roll bar drop links that are adjustable, but up to 40mm you don't need adjustable ones. So I just thought I'd get some new drop links, just so everything's nice and tightened up. You could probably change these to polyurethane if you wanted to, or whatever, but I'm just gonna see how that goes for now. Some new bump stops for the rear, new bump stops, and a new cover for the front shocks as well. And obviously you need a top mount. You could use your old one. I'm not going to use my old one because it's a bit rusted up, so I'm going to use that. And then obviously there's like a top rubber mount that goes on the front and a bearing. Now mine are new on my Pro Sports, so when I take those off I'll just reuse them on here. If you have old suspension, obviously just make sure you change the bearings, because the bearings do wear out, and obviously it starts to make a noise in there, and obviously it won't be smooth then. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. Thought I'd just show you what I've got. I'm gonna fit it on, see how it goes, and then I'll do a proper review. Might take it out on the road, you know, nice windy road, see how that goes, you know, see what the car feels like as opposed to these Pro Sports. I mean, the Pro Sports, don't get me wrong, the ride is okay-ish, but as I say, the quality, terrible. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. So yeah, I'll probably make another video once they're all fitted. I mean, if you're doing the rear suspension first, it's obviously the easiest to start off with. I mean, I've just jacked up my car. If you want to do this at home, you can do it at home. It's a simple affair. Obviously my driveway is a bit of a slanted driveway, so you have to be quite careful. But yeah, I've just jacked it up, put some axle stands on the sill, which is solid there, both sides. Taken off my rear wheels, and then I'll just prop the jack up on there, give it a bit of tension, and then all I have to do is just release those two bolts in there. They will come off, and then there's another one over here, bolt and nut. Put some WD-40 on there, get rid of that, put my new shocker on with its new bump stop and cover, and then just jack it back up and tighten it all up, put the wheels back on. That's for the rear anyway, and then obviously change my springs. Once that comes out, the actual rear subframe will actually drop down, which will give you clearance to change your springs. So if you want to do it at home, I mean, with a simple ratchet set or socket set, whatever you want to call it, it's pretty much simple. As I mentioned, those particular things are the things you need to do, and then that's it on the rears. I've managed to finish off my rear springs and shocks. I don't know if you'll be able to see much. Can you see bilstein B4s with the tein lowering springs, 40mm. So those are done. Took it for a ride. Honestly, night and day compared to those Pro Sports. So honestly, a massive difference. If you're thinking of going for eBay cheap coilovers, I don't recommend them. I've probably said this about 10 times, but I really don't recommend them. So I moved on to the front now. As you can see, there's the Pro Sports. I mean, these things are not even old. I mean, look at the corrosion on them. It's just, you know, really not good quality whatsoever. So I know it's all gonna get corroded at some point, but you know, they've not even been on the car for what, a couple of months. And look at that, the threads are already nearly shot. Look at them.